Near the edge, above the road, is a rusted sheet-iron stable with a horse outside, an image from past scattered farms near where iron-stained clay banks stretch Sydney's water supply, piped from a century ago. Father worked a stint there. On the downhill side, market stalls crowd the double drive-in theatre, normally vacant in daylight. Antiques are sold, trash and treasure, pets and greasy food, within surfing music from an ageing band. Polite people slowly trawl Technicolor alleys. Spanish-speaking South Americans offer jewellery. A too-thin man sells cassettes. Families of heavy islanders scan for bargains. Slender African youths flaunt jaunty, masking walks, while an old man and woman show horror-hinting faces. Muslim fathers herd sons, all in white robes, while up the road the English theme pub draws another crowd. Reject Depot. This quote is from The Fatal Shore by Robert Hughes. Here was a community of people handpicked for decades for their criminal propensities and for no other reason, whose offspring turned out to be one of the most law-abiding societies in the world. Part 1. The Boston Tea Party cancelled voyages for the criminal poor and rebels of Britain, so the overflow from prison hulks on the Thames found this southern dumping ground. The land of eucalypts, new hell to chop back crime, became for many purgatory, assigned as unpaid farm labourers, servants, bridge builders, road makers. Pine straight as ships' masts drew the troublesome to Norfolk Island after horrors under sail in heaving seas and the fear of the heavy lash. Prison there was briefly reforming, but Bloody Bridge captured the road. Decades later, the prison colony closed. Stone shells of buildings echo the toll. Part 2. It was mercy to leave the convict ship after sailing down the mainland coast through storms to Van Diemen's Land. The children were taken to the orphans' home. William was 10 and Catherine 3. They were not orphans, but couldn't stay with me at the women's factory. We trudged the hill past government buildings, their sandstone rough and hard as our jailers. They could call us what they wanted as we carried our bundles to Mole Street. The girls could throw it back as good as it flew. The guards were criminals as much as us, mostly needy, who met the hard side of the law. Part 3. Others out of prison, ankles rid at last of chains, were freed in Hobart. One family trudged the start of winter along the convict trail to Launceston, without mother, lost from record. Father with 5 children carrying farming tools. The block was lush, but tea tree clawed as they cleared for farming, their lives built bleakly. Part 4. Founding blood and brutality remain a backdrop, brash with suspicious whispers. Some rose to power beneath the stare of those who thought themselves better. Now the light of genealogy shows chains dangling from family trees, so the slur fades. Leaders and bosses still know they don't own their people's trust. Risky business. Westerly gusts hurled trees into huddles, chilled by a sunless rug of sky. Eucalypts bend with haunched shoulders, pointing straggled crowns downwind. Lone pines are sharply clipped, aligned. The sighing static of the low surf reminds that before the guiding satellites, vapour-trailed jets and shopping centres, clippers sped merchants and chances past the Horn, southeast through the roaring forties to thread the needle between Otway and Wickham Capes. Some were lost on this shipwrecked coast, like the Lockard, crashing masts, only two staggering ashore. On a grassy hill above, I manoeuvre on foot and find the line that sets the near lighthouse above the far, see the killing rocks below, and trace the steady low-light, high-light course to harbour. Mining the past. We drive past prizes along this road, one in the mid-1800s from gold finds, first in the fever fields in Victoria and New South Wales, then across the country. Miners' tents and wooden shacks sprouted before solid buildings paid for through rowdy decades from rashes of pits sweated into alluvium and mines that burrowed through blood-spattered rock. The deluge of European, American and Chinese hopefuls that unloaded trunks, swags and mining tools surged on with immigrants and convicts to reach a surprise quorum for a nation. Rabbit casserole. Nana made tasty rabbit casseroles. The depression had honed her skills. Grandfather caught the rabbits during nights as a factory security guard after he lost his job as storeman. His traps were set near the Parramatta River where warrens spread beneath the grass, but the family still struggled to survive. The army at least paid a wage, and his going might save his sons enlisting. They did. He died at Tobruk. Booming. Smokes and drinks needed money, too much money for father to spend when children slept 4 to a room in bunks. Christmas presents were shoes or coats on lay-by, grown into by winter in 5 months' time, if there were no hand-me-downs. They didn't feel poor. The family down the tree-lined road had a dirt floor in their kitchen. Boys and girls, ironed clothes, some cooked, older ones carried around the younger, feeding bottles and changing terry-toweling nappies. Kids swarmed for cricket in the backyard, for rounders out the front. Billy carts rattled the road. The family van was mass transport for family visits, church and shops. It bulged with holiday luggage. Bullying was forbidden to avoid chaos. Fights were verbal and mostly ignored, minds academic, like their parents through years of Commonwealth scholarships. Terror for girlfriends at Sunday table. In that fibro world, truth was spoken and agreed. Down the line. When rescue meant belt and line, father's body trundled ramrod straight, ahead of foaming white that edged the turquoise. At 8 I learned the ocean buoyed, so sunny swimming started with 5-metre sprints, catching rides on small breaks. Christmas tides roared the best surf, high hills with rumbling white scree, rides with speed bumps over backwash, even riding lesser dumpers with torso half out front above churning sand. Now my son rides those slopes, down a curling line. Iron family. On the early eastern growth corridor between the city and logging in the ranges, Bayswater Park boasts a sandstone bubbler with brass plaque to the crowning of a young queen. Nearby a metal goanna lies on a rock and concrete hippopotamuses swim in a pool of ground down rubber tyres while children play in a wooden rope jungle gym. Slender eucalypts stretch above the corrugated iron shelter that shades the retired steam engine. Now a sturdy climbing frame, chipped and painted black and red to shining protection. Instrument panels are sealed with metal covers. Round capped rivets grip the looser joints. Heavy bolts on plates. I knock my knuckle on the coal tender and sense the solid wall. I have not met you before, but I have travelled with your cousins, the iron ships, around our coasts and to the pack ice. There is a family resemblance. Sorry day. Today the rain is tears. Before, the flow was often blood, poured out through centuries. On this day of apology, drops fall on breaking smiles. Respect is shown for the journeys of First Peoples, running to what should lie ahead. The glinting road. Blocks of villas sprout relentlessly between houses as we drive towards car and tram crowded Sydney Road. Mature grapevines and olive trees of migrant families from hungry times in Sicily and the Boot grow next door to reaching cottage gardens of 10-pound poms. Further along, the red brick church has a Vietnamese mass. The street is hemmed with dense melaleucas until a spreading eucalypt centres the roundabout. The taxi driver grew up near the road, with fewer restaurants and no nightlife. He had to go to the city to drink. He thinks it better now, though it killed an Irish woman in a night alley. Bars and supermarkets sit beside bridal and bargain shops. A Turkish gift store sparkles across from fish and chips. We eat cheese triangles with falafels in a Lebanese bakery, drink coffee smiling under statues of a mullah and the Virgin, while painful need and want seek out Eden.